Apologies for the delay, but I'd like to call the Tiffin City Council meeting of Monday, November 18th, 2024 to order. The invocation and pledge of allegiance will be led by Councilmember Hayes.
Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for the gift of today. We thank you for another day to serve you and to serve the citizens of Tiffin. We ask today especially for gifts of understanding and wisdom as we continue to do your will and do the will of the city of Tiffin. Amen.
Thank you.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, thank you. I will ask the clerk to call the roll, please.
Councilmember Hayes.
Here.
Councilmember Herniman.
Here.
Councilmember Kaler.
Here.
Councilmember Jones.
Here.
Councilmember Reesner. Councilmember Snee.
Here.
Councilmember Thacker.
Here.
All right, let the record show that 6 of 7 council members are present this evening. Minutes from November 4th, 2024, regular and committee of the whole were distributed. Any questions, corrections, deletions? All right, the minutes will stand approved as presented. We are now under committee reports. Anyone from the Finance Committee have a report this evening?
I'm sorry?
Does anyone from the Finance Committee have a report this evening?
Oh, no report, Madam President.
Great, thank you. Committee have a report this evening. Councilmember Kaler.
No report, Madam President.
Materials and Equipment, Councilmember Jones.
No report, Madam President.
Personnel and Labor Relations, Councilmember Hayes.
No report, Madam President.
Recreation and Public Property, Councilmember Snee.
No report, Madam President.
Street, Sidewalks, and Sewers, Councilmember Thacker.
No report, Madam President.
And Economic Development and Downtown Planning, Councilmember Herniman.
No report, Madam President.
Thank you. Does anyone see the need to schedule a committee of the whole meeting? All right, we are now under reports of the officers. His Honor, Mayor Lee Wilkinson.
Thank you, Madam President. Just a reminder to all residents, leaf bags are still available at several stores around town. Check the City of Tiffin website and use the news link for those list of stores. They're still picking up those leaf bags. Mine got picked up yesterday or today. No, today's Monday. Must have been today. Had them picked up, yes.
Monday.
Yeah, so that's good. Last Monday, I had the honor to visit the Veterans Day program at Calvert Elementary. It was an awesome program honoring our nation's veterans and also presenting a 99-year-old veteran, Walter Hepp, with his well-deserved high school diploma. That was really cool. Last Wednesday, I got to be present for the ribbon cutting of the grand opening of the YMCA new pool. Go down and check it out. They have programs for adults and children of all ages. Coming up this Thursday, just a couple days from now, on the 21st, the big holiday window reveal, meet in front of the courthouse at 5:30 if you want to participate in that and see all the new holiday decorations in the windows for the merchants. And the following week, on November 28th, Thanksgiving, city offices will be closed. And then on November 30th, right after that, on Saturday, the downtown cleanup sponsored by the Downtown Design Committee be at Cherry Alley at 9 o'clock for that. And that would be a good way to work off some of that Thanksgiving meal. And I was just able to attend with Councilperson Thacker the Heritage Ohio Preservation Workshop, which is going on right now at the Empire. That was very informative and interesting. And that's all I have for right now. That concludes my report, Madam President.
Thank you. Clerk of Council, Ann Forrest.
Thank you, Madam President. I want to report that we have received the petitioner's fee for the Alley Vacation under Ordinance 2024-86, and we can proceed with third reading.
Awesome, thank you. And Director of Finance, Kathy Kaufman.
Thank you, Madam President. Just a few things I wanted to mention. Like we spoke of in the Committee of the Whole, we are actually introducing all of the normal budget ordinances tonight, 94, 95, 96, 97, 98, and 99, all having to do with the budget and also approving the payroll ordinance and then approving transfers. So even though council approves the budget, we also do separate ordinances to approve all the transfers separately. Tonight, I'm also asking for a suspension on ordinance 2024-101. These are budget line items for the payroll fund and the flexible spending fund. These have to do with employees' elections for the year. I basically do the budget amount based on what we spent in previous years. And this year, we don't have enough budgeted for the rest of the year, and that's due to different coverages taken for insurance. So there's different amounts that are flowing through the payroll fund. Of course, the family coverage is more expensive, so we probably have more on those types of coverages. And then also for the flexible spending, it's based on what people elect as their annual election. So there could be increases there too. So that's why we're asking for suspension. We don't have enough in the budget to cover those things this time. And then I also have your report for October for the budget. So for the month of October 2024, total receipts for the month were $4,005,062.04. Total expenses for the month were $3,265,137.40. The general fund unencumbered balance was $6,564,343.55. Income tax receipts for October 2024 when compared to October 2023 were down $180,462.09. However, year-to-date income tax receipts are still up 4.86%. And income tax receipts for October, I skipped right over that, were $1,011,775.08. The 0.25% portion of income tax receipts that was transferred into Fund 215 for public streets for October 2024 was $124,908.62. The unexpended balance for all funds is $41,328,492.40, which is the same as the bank balances for the same time period. And that concludes my report.
Thank you, Kathy. Councilmember Jones?
Thanks, Madam President. I would like to make a motion to accept Finance Director's October financial report.
And bank reconciliation. Thank you. There is a motion to accept the Finance Director's report and bank reconciliation for the month of October. Is there a second? Councilmember Herniman.
I'll second that motion, Madam President.
Thank you. There's a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, motion carries. Thank you. Director of Law, Zach Fowler.
Yeah, thank you, Madam President. Did want to report to you all, if you recall earlier in the year, about halfway through, you had authorized the purchase of the property over on Water Street that's north of the railroad track. And we've met all the contingencies for that. We got approval from the Ohio EPA to no longer, under our long-term control plan, no longer to have to use the EQ basin and could shift to the high-rate treatment facility, which again was saving us a substantial amount of money. We're going to work towards closing, and we'll have that acquired before the end of the year. We have to close within the next 30 days, so we'll have it soon. But I just thought I'd let you all know that that's going forward. You may have noticed that the Seneca County Board of Commissioners has started the process, I guess, to withdraw from the OSS Solid Waste District. We'll just, I guess, kind of see where that goes. If the county withdraws, just so that you know, then the county then would have to establish its own solid waste district. We are under the joint plan. You did a resolution last year to renew and stay within their new plan that started this year through 2028. I would assume, it's not clear in the statute, but I would assume if they are successful in their withdrawal and create a new district, then we'll fall under Seneca County's plan when that time comes. Chief Pauly put on a public records seminar. It was designed for law enforcement, but it was very informative. For your own information, if you want any of those slides, I guess, let me know. I'm happy to share the presentation with you. But there's some, a lot of it was for law enforcement, but there was just some really good stuff in there in general about public records. So if you're curious or want to know more, let me know. That's my report.
Thank you. Any questions for the Law Director? All right, we are now under written communications.
Thank you. We have Mayor's request for legislation number 24-44, fire equipment bid.
Mayor's request for legislation number 24-44 will be assigned to the Materials and Equipment Committee.
Finance Director's request for legislation number F24-63 to amend the 2024 Budget Ordinance 23-94 to appropriate funds in the budget to pay for flexible spending reimbursements and employee share health insurance for the remainder of the year.
Thank you. Finance Director's request for legislation number F24-63 is prepared tonight as ordinance 24-101.
And then we just received a notice from the Ohio Division of Liquor Control that goes out annually to legislative authorities. And we need to let them know if we want to request a hearing on the current liquor permits we have in the city, because all Class C and D retail permits have to be, they expire on February 1st. So we have a deadline of January 2nd to let them, we don't need to let them know if we don't want a hearing, but if we do, we need to let them know by then.
Thank you. And as discussed in committee of the whole, we have requested the city administrator to seek feedback from the police chief. So this letter in the interim will be held on file. Right, we are now under oral communications. Anyone wishing to address council may step to the podium, sign in, and direct their questions to myself.
Hi, Paul Rubenstein. I'm with the Coles Group. And Madam President, I just wanted to say a quick thanks to the folks in the zoning department, engineering department, council member Thacker for having the on-site meeting. We are proposing a new Dunkin', and it is a new concept too. It's a drive-through only. It'll be the first one that we've developed, and I think the closest one is like in the Youngstown area and in the Columbus area. So it'll be the first one in this market. So we're really excited to bring that to the city. And I could, if anybody has any questions as to timeline or design, I'm here to answer those questions.
Awesome. Well, thank you for coming to council this evening and taking the time and bringing more business to Tiffin.
Sure.
Does anyone have any questions at this time? Yeah?
Madam
Councilmember Snee?
President.
Yeah?
When will the groundbreaking happen? Do you have a time for that?
Yeah, so the groundbreaking, we still have to get our building permit,
Right.
and that has not been submitted yet. So probably, we're thinking it's going to be January, February is when we
Okay.
break ground.
It's like 90 to 100 days.
Yeah,
Okay. I remember that.
yeah, 90 to 100 days.
Great. Well, thank you again.
Sure.
Awesome.
All right, thank you.
Are there any motions this evening? All right, we're now under resolutions and ordinances.
Ordinance number 2024-86, introduced by Cheyenne Thacker, an ordinance responding to petition number 2024-04, vacating the alley off of East Market Street running north-south between lot number 62 of George Feege's addition and lot number 1 of Feege's replat of lots 63 to 67 of George Feege's addition in the first ward of the city of Tiffin, Ohio.
Thank you. This is the third reading of ordinance 24-86. Councilmember Thacker.
I move for passage of ordinance 24-86.
Thank you. There's a motion for passage of ordinance 24-86. Is there a second? Councilmember Herniman.
I'll second that motion, Madam President.
Thank you. There's a motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, we will vote on the passage.
Councilmember Hayes.
Yes.
Herniman.
Yes.
Kaler.
Yes.
Jones.
Yes.
Snee.
Yes.
Thacker.
Yes.
Ordinance 24-86 passes with a vote of 6-0.
Ordinance number 2024-94, introduced by Kevin Reesner. An ordinance to budget and make appropriations for the current expenses and other expenditures of the city of Tiffin for the fiscal year beginning January 1st, 2025, and ending December 31st, 2025.
Thank you. This is the first reading of ordinance 24-94.
Ordinance number 2024-95, introduced by Kevin Reesner. An ordinance amending and restating ordinance number 23-95, the City Pay Ordinance, to establish appropriate rates of compensation for certain city employees to comply with the State of Ohio minimum wage law and declaring an emergency.
Thank you. This is the first reading of ordinance 24-95.
Ordinance number 2024-96, introduced by Kevin Reesner, an ordinance amending the 2025 budget ordinance number 2024-94 to authorize the transfer of funds, the payment of bond and loan principal and interest, and declaring an emergency.
Thank you. This is the first reading of ordinance 24-96.
Ordinance number 2024-97, introduced by Kevin Reesner, an ordinance amending the 2025 budget ordinance number 2024-94 to authorize the transfer of funds from the 101 General Fund to the 242 Park and Recreation Fund and declaring an emergency.
Thank you. This is the first reading of ordinance 24-97.
Ordinance number 2024-98, introduced by Kevin Reesner, an ordinance amending the 2025 budget ordinance number 2024-94 to authorize the transfer of funds from the 552 Sewer Revenue Fund to the 557 Combined Sewer Separation Fund and declaring an emergency.
Thank you. This is the first reading of ordinance 24-98.
Ordinance number 2024-99, introduced by Kevin Reesner, an ordinance amending the 2025 budget ordinance number 2024-94 to authorize the transfer of funds from the 101 General Fund to the 331 Capital Improvements Fund and declaring an emergency.
This is the first reading of ordinance 24-99.
Ordinance number 2024-100, introduced by John Hayes, an ordinance confirming the boundaries of the city of Tiffin and Clinton and Hopewell Townships.
This is the first reading of ordinance 24-100.
Ordinance number 2024-101, introduced by John Kaler and Aaron Jones, an ordinance amending the 2024 budget ordinance 23-94 to appropriate funds into the flexible spending fund and payroll fund.
Thank you. This is the first reading of ordinance 24-101. Councilmember, just kidding, Councilmember Kaler.
Madam President, I move for immediate passage of ordinance 2024-101 and suspension of council's three reading rule.
Awesome. Thank you. There is a motion for suspension of council's three reading rule and passage of ordinance 24-101. Is there a second? Councilmember Jones.
I'll second that.
There's a motion and a second. Any discussion? Would one of you would like to give an explanation on the suspension?
Madam President, I would remind council of Finance Director Kathy's comments. Not sure if it was during our meeting or whether it was during the Committee of the Whole. But I believe it's necessary to do so to make sure that city employees' insurance coverage remains intact.
Sure,
If I
ultimately.
understood correctly.
Ultimately. Yep. Thank you so much. Any other discussion? Seeing none, we will first vote on the suspension.
Councilmember Hayes.
Yes.
Herniman.
Yes.
Kaler.
Yes.
Jones.
Yes.
Snee.
Yes.
Thacker.
Yes.
Suspension passes with a vote of 6-0. We will now vote on the passage.
Councilmember Hayes.
Yes.
Herniman.
Yes.
Kaler.
Yes.
Jones.
Yes.
Snee.
Yes.
And Thacker.
Yes.
Ordinance 24-101 passes with a vote of 6-0.
And that concludes the legislation.
Thank you. I know we were discussing a little bit in the Committee of the Whole as well of potentially not having proper quorum at the December 6th City Council meeting. However, we did confirm that we will have quorum, so we will not need to have a special meeting between the first and the third meeting in order to get the passages, the ordinance passed. Does anyone else have other business for this evening?
Yes, Madam President. This came along a little earlier than I expected because things went along pretty quickly today. So in lieu of the presence of Bryce Riggs and Marissa Huss from the Chamber, I still would like to read this proclamation for Small Business Saturday, celebrating and supporting the small local businesses. So if I could. Whereas the city of Tiffin recognizes the vital role that small businesses play in our community, providing jobs, fostering innovation, and contributing to the unique character of our city. And Small Business Saturday, sponsored by the Tiffin Seneca Chamber of Commerce as part of their Love Local campaign, encourages residents to shop small, dine local, and support the small businesses that are the backbone of our local economy. And whereas this year's Small Business Saturday features the Love Local Lounge, a welcoming space for shoppers to refresh and recharge, enjoy a football game, and take advantage of special perks, creating an enhanced and festive shopping experience in downtown Tiffin. And the Love Local campaign inspires residents to build stronger connections with local businesses, ensuring a vibrant and thriving community for years to come. And whereas the city of Tiffin is proud to stand with our small business owners and entrepreneurs whose dedication and creativity enrich our community and contribute to its economic vitality. Now, therefore, I, Lee Wilkinson, Mayor of the City of Tiffin, do hereby proclaim Saturday, November 30th, 2024 as Small Business Saturday in the city of Tiffin and encourage all residents and visitors to support our local businesses, participate in the Love Local campaign, and join in celebrating the unique offerings that make Tiffin a special place to live, work, and shop.
Thank you for that. Yeah, too bad that they couldn't attend.
Yeah, they are at another meeting right now, and they were hoping that it would be finished in time to get here. But just a reminder to all of our residents, if you're watching locally, if the camera's on, then if you see these posters around town for the Love Local Lounge and Small Business Saturday, please take advantage of that, and hope to see you at the game in the Love Local Lounge at the Chamber. I'll be there.
Thank you. Anything else for council this evening? Councilmember Jones.
Yeah, thank you, Madam President. I'd like to discuss the mayor's request for legislation 24-44 for the fire equipment bid and ask the rest of the council members if a meeting is necessary or if everyone is in agreement. This is something we've talked about, the FEMA grant for new equipment. This has already been discussed. If everyone's in agreement, I'd like to have the law director draft legislation.
Yeah, I'm on the committee. I agree. We've talked about it once, accepting the grant, and this was just the next step. And I think it's something council will agree on to pass and move on. So I think that's appropriate. I don't think we need to meet.
Thank you. Does anyone else have any comments or objections to that? Perfect. Thank you. Anything else for council this evening? City Administrator.
Yes, thank you. While we have a couple of minutes, I just wanted to provide an update for folks. As you may or may not remember, a few meetings ago, you authorized us to have some funds to do some work on the fire station floor. Happy to report that the work on the floor itself, the area that the trucks sit on, has been completed. For another week, the team that was here doing that work will be working beneath the floor to do some new concrete underneath to help make sure that those steel beams that are down there are properly covered. And then in the future, we may have more work that's done to make sure that that floor has years to go, no matter what the case is going to be for the fire station. So we are moving forward with that. You may have seen the fire trucks outside, so while that work was being done, unfortunately the fire trucks had to sit outside, and some of the ambulance had to sit outside for a couple days there. But luckily, all of that was done before the cold started, and we had too many issues. And I don't think it held our guys back any, or I should say our folks in the fire department. So that's good news. With that, we will be putting down, for those of you who've done a tour of the fire department recently, there's typically a rubber tiling that's down on the floor. We're having that replaced. The company the first time will be putting down some new layers of protective material and then putting those back on. What those tiles are supposed to do is keep the floor in a way that when you have those winter events, that salt, that snow, even washing the trucks, that water isn't getting onto the floor there, is to provide a protection for it. So that is being reinstalled here this week, all of which hopefully before, knock on wood, first snow. So we're doing our best to maintain this beautiful structure, keep it going for a long time. As you may or may not know, our building is nearing 100 years, so constantly making improvements to this structure is very important.
Thank you for that update. Does anyone else have anything else for council this evening? All right, seeing none, we can adjourn. Thank you. Super quick. I was trying to solve.
I'd be curious to hear the slides.
I know, it went pretty fast. It was
Training.
like, oh, first reading, first reading.
It's always interesting.
I know.
Did the police chief's email?